You ready to get started, man?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So the rule is that whoever does the intro also starts out. So I guess I'm starting out then, right?
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to seeing what you have to say about this fun little lens.
Okay. So first off, uh Funleader 18mm f8. It is an 18, right? Yeah, it is an 18. I've got it down here, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit first. This is a lens that's completely unlike anything else out there that I've tested. I mean, there are lenses that are sort of like this, but nothing quite like this. I guess in
Mhm.
order for me to actually talk to you about that and to explain that, I have to show it to you. So here it is on the original Sony A7.
Oh, tiny, tiny.
And that is it right there. So just to make you guys realize like how tiny this thing is, that's it.
It's like a body cap for the camera to cover the sensor.
Yeah. Uh or it's like a pancake, but
Very, very
like
thin pancake. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Not like IHOP pancake, but like
Right.
super tiny thin pancake. Yeah. So anyway, this lens, it's got a lot of character to it. And
Mhm.
there's this whole I was talking about this with I think it was Roger Sikla the other day. We're in this whole wonderful renaissance of lenses right now. Like not everything has to be super incredibly sharp and clinical. There are other lenses out there that really do have character and beauty and all that other kind of stuff. So you don't
Mhm.
really have to sit there and like fiddle around in Photoshop or Lightroom or Capture One or anything else like that in order to get really cool images. You can do it in camera.
Yeah.
And that's one of the really cool things about this lens. So I actually believe that this lens is for APS-C cameras, but I decided I would test it on a full frame camera, the Sony A7 original. And I purposely chose the A7 original because I really like the color rendering from this sensor versus the ones that came later on. It's
Right.
just a little more vivid. I want to say old school Sony where they were just like, oh, we're gonna saturate this like crazy, like it's a painting or something like that.
Yeah. Completely agree with that.
Y-
Absolutely.
yeah. So ergonomically speaking, you can't even focus this thing.
Mhm.
Um, it's just f8. It's focused a certain distance away. You
Mhm.
use focus peaking, uh, and it tells you what will be in focus essentially. But basically, like they say, it's a street photography lens. I don't think it's a street photography lens. I think it's just like a you walk around. There's a landscape. There's a cityscape. That's it. Like, I want to equate it almost to shooting with your phone, but with a camera.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. And in terms of ease of use, there's nothing to focus. There's no aperture control. It's just a constant f8.
Hmm.
You put it on, this thing's probably dead. Oh, wait, no, it's not. And you just go ahead and you don't need to autofocus at all once again. You just shoot over and over and over again.
Could you do that shutter one more time? I love the noise of that shutter on
Yeah,
this thing.
right? Like I miss these old shutters. They were
Yeah.
so loud.
Oh, it's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, and so many photographers are like, "Oh, well, I need it to be quieter when I'm in a church shooting a wedding." I'm like, "I get that." So
Yep.
here's silent shooting mode, but that romance.
It makes my hair stand on end. I love it.
No, seriously, I
Yep.
completely agree with you about that. I think I wrote a piece a while ago about like the romance of camera
Yep.
sounds. But anyway, we're digressing. So ergonomically, like it's here. This has to be with my face in order for it to be in focus. That's it. That's the
It's
lens.
it's about as small as a lens could possibly get for a traditional camera, I would imagine.
Yeah, pretty much. Absolutely. Um, build quality, it's not weather sealed. It's yeah, there's no weather sealing on this thing at all.
Hmm.
So, I mean, obviously the sensor is going to get dirty. Uh especially on Sony. You
Hmm.
can get it for other systems though, and it might be a little better, but don't expect the highest end build quality. Like it's metal, okay, and you can't focus it. It's just a fixed focused
Hmm.
away and f8s. But I mean, other than that, again, just think about it as you're shooting with a large sensor camera phone.
Perfect. That sounds like fun. Just that description right there makes it sound like fun.
Yeah, and again, like what that means is you have control over the ISO, you have control over the shutter speed, you don't have control over the aperture again.
Right.
Um,
Absolutely.
but that opens itself up to so many other cool things. Like some of these cameras have like a toy photography mode built in, or like really cool black and white modes, or I used to actually like program my own Sony profiles, like stuff that looked like Kodak Portra VC and stuff like
Hmm.
that. I've got some stuff on it about the site, and they're really fun. But let's delve into the images. I think that's the best thing for me to do right now.
Yeah, I'm excited to see these.
Yeah. So again, I'm not taking this camera or this lens rather very seriously because you're not supposed to. Oh, this is not. Hold on, wait. Let me. Do you see these or are these your images?
No, I see. Those are yours.
Okay, cool. Wonderful. So again, original Sony A7.
Hmm.
These are unedited. Um, and just to let you folks know, up here, like we usually have the EXIF data in our images. So if you ever download our images from the site, you'll be able to see that right there easily. So ISO 160, 1/60th of a second, f8. And you get this like really nice softness to it, as well as the vignetting.
Yeah, I really like the look of that lens.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Hmm.
Um, and like once again, like it's not super sharp, it's not super contrasty, it's letting things sort of bleed into the scene.
Hmm.
um one concern that I did have with this lens was, let's say like my finger accidentally goes over it and gets a fingerprint on it. uh Actually, you know what, that's never been a problem. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm really trying to wipe it. Okay, it's been a little bit of a problem, but I think in this case it would probably add to the scene.
You probably would.
Yeah. Again, you're not supposed to take this seriously, and the fingerprint also sort of reminds you of like uh old school phones. I'm saying old school phones, but phones from a couple of years ago where like basically like you're eating a burger and then suddenly like you decide to touch your phone and the grease suddenly gets on your camera and makes it that much more delicious. Like
There you go.
exactly. This is me walking down Roosevelt Avenue in Woodside, Queens. Actually, this is Sunnyside. It's the neighborhood right next to mine. But you see that like the colors are really fun.
Yeah, I love the way it's rendering. Those greens and yellows look brilliant, man. I love it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, like just that sort of bloom effect that you're getting,
Hmm.
and like these little flares. There's
Yeah,
so much character.
it's fantastic. I love seeing lenses like this rather than the technically sharp lenses. These are fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And like there's a little bit of distortion, but it's not terrible.
No, it really doesn't look too bad at all for being as wide as it is.
Yeah. Decided I would do some street photography with it because they say, yeah, it's a street photography lens. It's
Hmm.
not. It's not.
It's a little of this, it's a little of that kind of lens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um Later on I do some long exposures and stuff like that with this lens. It's pretty fun.
Hmm.
Yeah. But even so, like you can tell like when you're pretty still, it's decently sharp.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Now,
again, like I don't think this is clinical.
was this with your camera in APS-C mode or did you leave it in full frame mode?
That's a great question. I left it in full frame mode purposely
Okay,
because I wanted to experience the entire thing.
gotcha.
I don't know why they're saying like this is an APS-C lens when there is full frame coverage. It's not like it's like the old school fisheyes where you get a lot of vignetting and it's not even covering the frame.
I was going to say the vignetting is very well controlled. It looks like it covers the whole sensor.
Yeah, it actually does cover the whole
Hmm.
sensor. Again, those streaks that you get when you just accidentally touch it.
Yeah, and that looks like something people would add in Photoshop, which we're totally against, and that's just a great little bit of character there. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. These are just, again, more of me walking around. These are in black and white. These are edited. Just to
Hmm.
let you folks know, I use Capture One and I use the R&I Films presets. Um, I think this probably was like T Max or something like that.
Gotcha.
Still fun,
Yeah,
even though it's a graveyard. I like graveyards.
yeah, they have a certain aesthetic to them, I
Yeah, no,
guess.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, but again, like sort of cool, like sort of fun.
Hmm.
All this, as you can see, it will get your sensor dirty, but we can
It's
also
something we.
blame that on Sony.
I was gonna say that's something we've come to expect with certain Sony cameras. So
Yeah, absolutely. This I decided to edit myself a little bit extra.
that still looks really cool, man. I love how
Yeah,
moody that is.
yeah. So this is me walking around at night. This is 0.2 seconds, ISO 6400. Now,
Hmm.
some of these images are intentionally blurry because I want to remind folks that, like, sometimes when you're shooting with lenses like this, like, again, it's not about getting things perfectly, totally clinically sharp. It's
Hmm.
about going in and being like, oh, okay, cool. This is a little bit slower. Let's see what we can do with this. And as you see, like, I'm getting a little bit of a painterly effect.
Hmm.
Also, it's cold, so like maybe a little condensation happened on the lens. I'm
There
not
you
sure.
go.
Again, like 1/3 of a second. Hard for me to handhold with this camera in the cold when it's freezing.
Oh, for sure. I like this one. I like the motion blur and the down the bottom there. That's really cool.
Yeah, FA, like it can do that.
Hmm.
This was me just walking around. I was like, lights. I wonder what'll happen if I shoot right into the lens. And that's what happened.
There you go. That's a pretty cool effect right there.
Yeah. I think this would actually look better in black and white because like the colors aren't important to the scene.
Hmm.
Again, just me like ISO 6400 f8, not caring, just being like, okay, cool, let's see what I can get.
I really love that almost halo effect that's coming off of the lights in every
Yeah,
scene. That's really neat.
yeah. I like more of like the natural painterly effect that it gives
Hmm.
off.
That's
Some folks
nice.
still have their Christmas lights on.
Yep.
Some of
When
this
it,
is. Go ahead.
I was gonna say when it needs to be sharp, it's a very sharp little lens, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And otherwise, like it's just like something that's fun.
Hmm.
I think we also just have to remember that, sharpness doesn't necessarily mean like a very contrasty lens. It's
Right.
actually like a testament to the optics themselves. But some lenses like try to get around that with like extra micro contrast or something like
Hmm.
that, or finding a way to boost the clarity in the images themselves from the sensor. But uh, lens sharpness isn't necessarily about that, and you can really tell that from like old school medium format film. Like those lenses are incredibly sharp, but the film isn't necessarily as sharp.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's so sad. The day after I shot this, there was a massive fire, and like a lot of these places like now have so much fire damage.
No, that's not good at all.
Yeah, I'm pretty sad about that,
Hmm.
especially because like that's the little India section of Jackson Heights.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, you've talked about that quite a lot to me. Yeah.
yeah, this part, like I was just like walking around again, like doing street photography, and street photography to me is also just about like documenting what's around you and like the happenings of your neighborhood.
Cool.
And when I saw this, I was like, wow, these people have little pods and that's where they can eat, and they're all sectioned off. Like this is life right now.
Interesting. They look like little greenhouses.
They really do, right?
Yeah. That's really cool.
You see like an entire row of these going around.
Hmm.
It's nuts. I don't
Lovely.
think this Olympia billiards place is open right now, but when it is, I think I'll like to go.
Yeah, man, I love the tones on this one. These are fantastic.
I like this better.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was also shooting an auto white balance. Like usually I'd white balance to like 3200 tungsten or
Mm-hmm.
5500 daylight. I think I just went auto.
Gotcha.
This is inside the subway. This is more of a, they call it diversity square. This I
Interesting.
felt was just cool. Like this guy, I didn't realize he was looking at me.
Yeah, he's giving you the eye, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I always pass by this and I'm like, man, I love these lights.
Yeah, I love neons. Neons are always fun to photograph.
Yeah.
Mm.
Again, more just fun neons.
Yep, absolutely.
Um, I think that it's also doing a very good job of helping the Sony sensor really differentiate between certain tones, like the yellow and orange here, and like the yellow and orange there, and like
Hmm.
what you get off of this light going into his pans and all that stuff. So, I think that stuff like that's usually important.
Yeah, absolutely. It's doing a good job.
Yeah, because like for post production, it's like, okay, well, how should I mess with the white balance, and now how should
Hmm.
I mess with the luminance or the tonality of this color channel?
Absolutely.
Yeah. For this, it was mostly about like documenting and showing that like, yeah, it's pretty quiet right now. Even in the Starbucks, you know.
I was gonna say it's been a long time since I've seen a Starbucks empty.
That's mostly it in New York right now.
Yeah, this looks like a great little lens, man.
It's so fun. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. It's just I don't know. I feel like I don't think it's a one trick pony, but I think it's something that you use rarely.
Hmm.
Not often. I think part of that is because of the weather sealing.
Yeah, for sure. I could
But
see it as
all
a. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think this could be ideal on the Sony A7S III.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
this, I decided I would just shoot at a longer exposure and just walk.
Okay. That's a trippy effect. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. What were you gonna say, Brett?
I was going to say this is the sort of lens that I think would be fun to just slap on your camera when you're going out to a party or or something like that, just to have something fun to take along with you. Just because it's not to be taken seriously, and it just leads into the fun nature of what a party would be.
Yeah, I agree with you about that. I also think that I don't know because I'm always afraid of someone like coming up to me and like hugging me and spilling my drink on my camera or my
Hmm.
lens. And if you do that, this camera and lens are done.
Well, that's true.
You're right about the sharpness though.
Yeah, that looks great.
Yeah, this was a 15-second image,
Hmm.
and then this one is another 15-second image. Again, I feel like with modern lenses, it would try to control like the bloom effect of the lights even more. This
Right.
isn't doing that at all.
No, it's just letting it go, and it's a great effect. I like it.
Yeah. This is a long exposure looking back the other way, and you will see this thing is very sharp. Oh wait,
Oh
no,
yeah.
that's pixelated. There you go.
Yep, that is. There's a lot of detail in there.
Yeah. So overall, that's the last image. I think that this is a very fun lens, but I would equate it to like I've been coming up with this idea of like modern toy lenses. Like you remember the old school like toy cameras and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, for sure.
This is pretty much like that. It turns your camera into like a toy effect. And I think that that can be used very creatively. Um, but it's not something that you would use all the time. For a
Hmm.
party, I think it might be cool, but like you're not gonna get someone like 3 feet away from you perfectly in focus. It's focused away further than that. When you
Gotcha.
get the lens, like the optics on the inside, there is like a blue piece of tape right here.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to remember to take that off. Um, partially because they're protecting everything. But other than that, again, like this is a fun toy. They literally call it a cap lens. I don't think it's bad. I absolutely do not think it's bad. I think it's very fun. It's just, I think that it's a toy that you buy just when you're bored to give your images a little bit more spice in camera and to not worry so much about like spending so much time in front of the computer.
Sure, absolutely. I think there needs to be more lenses like this, honestly, because I think even for me, even though, I'm a professional photographer, even when I go out for myself and have fun, I still kind of tend to stick in that everything's got to be perfect mode. And having a lens like this that just makes you let go and have fun with it is so important. So I think it's great that we got options like this on the market.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I also think that's part of the whole lens renaissance we're going through right now.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. My final verdict, I'm probably going to write that up either tomorrow or like Wednesday. I don't
Hmm.
know about this lens. Like, I think it's fun, once again. I really do. I just am not sure about who's necessarily going to buy it.
Right.
Partially because it's sort of like a one trick pony.
Yeah.
Sort of.
What's the pricing like on it?
Um, Forgetting. Let me see if I can find that. I think it's really cheap.
Hmm.
Funleader 18mm cap lens. Wow. Okay. 140 bucks.
That's not bad at all. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's bad at all. I agree with you.
No.
Um, Trying to think about what else is 140 bucks. Let me see. Canon's 50mm f1.8 STM. What's the new one?
That's 125. The new one on the RF mount is 699. No, it's 199. Sorry. Um, Otherwise, for Canon, the only one I can think of would be like the 24 2.8. I think it's like 150.
Isn't the 24 2.8 for APS-C only?
Yes, EFS.
Yeah, that makes sense. But this does full frame coverage.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, hmm. It's a really affordable lens. It's very fun. I don't think you're gonna sit there and cry over 140 bucks.
No, no. I mean, not if it just brings you joy, just going out to use it, just to have a good time. I mean, that's really nothing compared to some lenses today.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And also like for long exposure stuff, like let's say you wanted to do something almost pinhole like, even
Hmm.
though F8 is nowhere near actual pinhole,
Right.
could be just fun.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Fun is
Yeah,
what photography is supposed to be.
exactly. All right, man. Well, that's my assessment of this lens. I think I've said fun a number of times. I think it's exciting that we are getting more lenses like this. I think we really need it, especially with the fact that so many people have just been exhausted in the pandemic. They've needed creative spurts and more inspiration and all that stuff. And
Hmm.
stuff like this can really do it.
Yeah, absolutely. If you buy it knowing this is what you're getting and you just embrace it for what it is, I think you'll have a good time with it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, man. Let's see if there are questions on the Book of Face. It does not look like there are questions on the Book of Face. Let me refresh. Nope. And no questions here either, right?
No, I don't see any.
Yeah. All right,
What
cool.
mounts? Oh, real quick, what mounts was it for? I know it's obviously for Sony E. I would imagine probably Micro Four Thirds and.
Micro Four Thirds is one of them. I think it was Canon RF. It was Fujifilm X.
Mhm.
Uh, I think they said Nikon Z as well too. I think they were
Gotcha.
mostly focusing on like mirrorless.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yep. As I was looking around, I saw a couple of YouTube reviews, which
Hmm.
are, I don't know, like I don't always trust the authenticity of YouTube reviews versus like ours. So yeah, The spelling of the brand Funleader. I'll type this in: Funleader. They're a brand new brand. I've never heard of them before.
No, I was gonna say it's one that I've never heard of before either.
Yeah. Um, but a couple of new brands have come up in the past couple of years, and I think that's good. You know, we need
Yeah,
diversity and variety.
absolutely.
Ideally, I would say even new camera brands coming up.
Yeah, as they say, what's variety is the spice of life.
Yes. And I like my spice.